Welcome, welcome, welcome to another afternoon of When Black Women Gather. My name is Helen Higginbotham. I'm the founder of this organization, and what we do is get together and have intergenerational conversations between Black women, discussing topics that are relevant to us as a community and us as Black women. And today we're going to be talking with Leslie Marant. Thank you, Leslie, for so much for doing this for us. And we're going to talk about as Black women when we prepare our own tables. Let me just tell you that we are recording. It will be on not Facebook, it will be on YouTube. So you'll be able to find it there. If you don't want your likeness or your name on camera, keep that in mind. And if you stay quiet, we won't see you. And so what we do here is have conversations that are relevant to us as a community. And the only ground rule that I have is that we have to be respectful to one another. I'm not concerned. I guarantee you respect, but not comfort. That's what I always say. So, we don't have honest conversations if we just focus on being comfortable. So I want us to push past our comfort zone, but maintaining respect. Leslie will talk. Leslie will talk to us at first, and then she'll show us her work, and then we will go into a joint conversation. And Leslie, I forgot to pull up your bio. Sorry, I should have done that while I was getting water. So, but anyway, so we're going to do it like that, and then there will be a Q&A at the end, so everybody will be able to ask questions and engage one another. As I said before we came on camera, this is a time of us to gather as Black women. So if you have something going on that you want to share or that you want the support of us on this call, so please, drop whatever you're doing in the chat, and let's just take care of each other. I'm so sorry, Leslie. I'm tripping.
Don't worry about it. You don't have to worry about introducing me. It's going to come through my conversation, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Please let me know. I just got a signal that my internet is unstable. I don't know what that means. So if anything happens, put it in the chat or text me, and I will transfer to a different device.
We'll let you know. Yeah. So right now it looks like you're fine. We can hear you fine. It's a delay. So like your mouth is moving slower than you're at, but it's okay. But we hear you. We hear you fine. Everybody can hear her fine, I'm guessing.
I'm freezing.
Yeah. Somebody says yes, you're freezing, but we can hear you.
I think it's just going to get worse.
Okay. Here. No, I have it up, Leslie. I have it up. I'm not as bad as I think I am. So let me just say that Leslie and I met 2 years ago at a SHRM convention. And at that convention, it was clear that we are definitely kindred spirits, that we share the same passion. So when I wanted to have this conversation about, how we fend for ourselves, and, we're traumatized in the workplace. And I think that we need to talk about it. And who better to talk about it than Leslie? And we all have, I think, our own story to tell. But real quickly, Leslie Marant is the founder and lead consultant of ESP Effect, LLC, a consulting practice dedicated to unlocking organizational potential through people-centered leadership and equity-focused strategies. She is a certified DEI executive. That's a dirty word now, right? Leslie brings her deep expertise in leadership, DEI, work culture, and health equity to organizations ready to transform their environments. With a unique approach that combines strategic vision and actionable insights, Leslie empowers leaders and teams to thrive in today's dynamic landscape, ensuring that organizational goals are met in an inclusive, innovative manner. So, and like Leslie said, she'll take it from there and tell you more about herself. I'm going to go off screen and I'll come back on when you're finished. Okay, Miss Leslie? Uh-oh. She looks pretty. All right, can you hear us, Leslie?
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Am I frozen again?
Just go for it. Like I said, your screen.
I can hear
you're fine.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's a little muffled
that
right
I will
there.
freeze and may have to move to a different location. Okay. Ladies, I'm so sorry. Bear with me. Let me move to a different device, and a different
Okay.
location.
Okay. We'll
Okay,
do that. Okay.
yeah, I don't trust what's happening right now, so I need to move to a different location. I deeply apologize. I will not be 2 minutes, okay? Thank you so
Okay.
much. Bear with me, and I
Quite all right.
deeply apologize.
It's okay.
Thank you.
Quite all right. Yes. So as I was saying, Leslie and I met 2 years ago at a SHRM convention, and it was an inclusion. The topic was inclusion, and with Leslie doing DEI work, and I think most people at that conference were doing DEI, HR, something relative to that. And so here we are now, like, DEI is a dirty word. At least they're trying to make it that way. So it'll be interesting to see what you ladies are doing. I think a lot of the women on here are from LinkedIn. So is anybody out there doing DEI work? You can just unmute and talk. We can talk while we're waiting for Leslie. You can unmute.
So my name is LaPrisha Daniels. I've done DEI work actually for NASA, oddly enough, for some of their uh, grant applications to have an eye on DEI as they're looking at proposals.
So it's somebody has in the chats to tell you a little bit about me, so I will do that. But yeah, so DEI work, it's almost it's a challenge. I'm not in the workplace right now, and I'm kind of happy. Well, I am happy about it because I just can't imagine. And when we look at how quickly people walked away from it, it makes me question what was your commitment to it to begin with, because I don't see a whole lot of fight from our quote unquote allies. They just kind of threw in the towel in many cases. But then I'm like, I hear every now and then about these companies that are fighting back. And I'm an attorney, so you look at the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has caved. The major law firms have caved. Um, but in a nutshell, I'm an attorney, and most of my background has been in labor and employment. I moved to Florida to take a position that was HR and DEI related. Huge mistake. I took it for all the right reasons, but Leslie and I are pretty much in the same boat. Just time to do something different. Um, but that's been my background. And then, I've been doing When Black Women Gather since like 2012. And then I formed an LLC in 2018. And prior to moving here, I would do in-person events, whether it was a brunch or Leslie's back. Let me add her in. Whether it was a brunch, and then I had an arrangement with the theater, so I was able to whenever there was a Black movie, they would give us the theater, and then we would stay and have a community discussion. So it's always been about Blackness, and while it's When Black Women Gather, every now and then, and actually more often than not, we do include Black men in our discussions too. But we meet with white women at our leisure when we invite them into our circle. We take trips together. So yeah, and we meet here every Sunday. So for those of you who are interested, I will put you on my email list, and you're more than happy to say, "Girl, take me off that list," because it gets very vibrant sometimes. I do not take it personally. So anyway, we can talk more about what I do, but right now, you ready, Leslie?
I am. I'm so sorry. I don't play with time. I'm my mother's child. Now I'm mortified. I'm starting mortified. So
Oh,
let me take a
stop.
deep breath. Oh no, 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 no.
Exhale.
I believe in giving Black people the best, not your raggedy,
Yes,
So here
yes.
we go. So let's start.
Exhale. All right, I'm out.
Hey
All
ladies,
on you.
that's
Bye-bye.
okay. Thank you so much. As Helen said, my name is Leslie Marant. And first, I thank you, Helen, for sharing your platform, to inviting me to your space. I'm thankful to all of my friends and connections who are here because of me to hear my story. So I just want to thank you, because I consider any gathering of Black women exclusively, I consider it a sacred gathering. I want to set the playing field and start with, while we're talking, this is a conversation. It's not a keynote. So what I ask you to do is a couple of things. If you have any thoughts, any reflections, any questions as they come up during this conversation, put them in the chat so that at the end, when we open the floor, that we're ready to go, that Helen can pick out, the ones, and it's not that she's going to screen them or vet them, But just, I don't want to wait until the end, because if you think of something or you hear something that resonates, I want you to talk, I want you to throw it into the chat and we will open up the floor. Also, do me a favor, do me a solid, as we say. I got a little age on me, and I do respond. I love keynoting. It's my jam, but this is not a keynote. It's a conversation. But when I'm in public, when I'm in spaces where I'm giving conversations or keynotes or delivering speeches, it's important for me to resonate, to react, to interact with my audience. And it's hard to do virtually. So if something resonates, if you want to clap, if you want to laugh, if you want to send emojis through the chat, that actually helps me. I also want to, although the title is this is from survival to sovereignty and Black women making their own table, I want to be clear that I am not here to preach entrepreneurship. I'm going to tell you my journey to entrepreneurship, and I'm going to talk about options and sovereignty. But I'm not selling anything. I'm not here as an entrepreneurial evangelist. What I am offering is reflection and strategy so that we know how to set our own tables, so that we're prepared to set our own tables, and that you don't find yourself in the position that I had to find, that I found myself unprepared and unfortunate in the position. Now I love it, and I will get to that. But I believe that it is possible to set, from the time we begin working, from the time we start our professional careers, it's important to lay the foundation to own something. And so what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about loss. We're going to talk about work. We're going to talk about identity. We're going to talk about strategy. And we're going to talk about what it takes and what it means to have something of their own. So let's get started with what's happening now. Black women, since January 20th, have experienced the highest percentage of job loss. We know we're looking at what's happening on television. I'm not here to change your political views about anything. I'm not here to talk left, right, or center. I make no assumptions of who is on this call, who's in this room, who's in this space. But I do want to talk about facts. And factually, Black women, we are the most educated demographic in this country, yet we are the most percentage-wise. We have experienced the highest percentage of unemployment since January 2025. I'll go for a second. We're going to get into my story, but I will say, fourthly, if you logged on here to find out what happened with Leslie and the Philadelphia Police Department, you won't get that story. So if you want to log off, if that's what you thought you were going to get, you're not going to get that. Briefly, I'll tell you my background. I'm an attorney by training. I graduated law school almost 30 years ago. Oh, gee whiz, yeah. 96, yeah, 30 some years ago. So I've been a practicing attorney for a long time. I became the chief counsel for the Pennsylvania Human Resources Commission, Human Relations Commission, which is the anti-discrimination agency for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Then I got into diversity, equity, and inclusion work. Actually, I got into it before that, and I got into diversity, equity, and inclusion work as a result of becoming a personal trainer almost 15 years ago. And we talk about health, wellness, and health outcomes the same way we talk about wealth and income acquisition, as though it is a personal responsibility. It's a matter, you have enough money if you work hard enough. And that is simply a myth. And what we know, that institutions, barriers, systems determine it just as much as everything else. And so I started volunteering and doing a lot of equity work. So I came into the diversity, equity, and inclusion space as a health equity advocate. I got certified as a diversity, equity, and inclusion. I got a couple of certifications, became a certified diversity, equity, and inclusion executive. It's not a dirty word to me. I'll defend it. I'm not married. While I'm not married to the acronym, I'll defend it to the hilt. And then I became the first diversity, equity, inclusion officer for the Philadelphia Police Department. All I will say about that experience is I was hired in April of 2022, and I was terminated on the first day of the year, on January 2nd of 2024. I was completely, so I will not discuss the details of that, but finding yourself unemployed unexpectedly. I'm almost 60 years old. I'm 58 years old. I've been a superstar all my life, academically, in work. I received every promotion, everything that I worked for. I've always been at the top of my class. I've been, you name it, anything that I wanted to do professionally, I've done it. I've been in 3 C-suites. In every job that I have ever left, I have been asked to return, or either my boss or my subordinate said, please come back. So to be fired unexpectedly with no warning was devastating. It was humiliating. It was paralyzing. Um, and there was grief, there was loss, there was paralysis. Uh, Over these 18 months, what I've learned, what I've experienced firsthand is the same or similar story, either direct terminations or layoffs or pushouts of middle-aged Black women at the director level and above. I know 21 people personally that have experienced something like this. And then I've just begun doing a lot of research. And you look at what happened to the president of Harvard University, who was pushed down. She still has employment, but she's no longer the president. The president of the Lincoln University in Mississippi, where the white athletic coach became the president of an HBCU, and he harassed Dr. Candida Bailey Gray. It's not Gray, that's not her last name. That woman completed suicide, and she had expressed to the university numerous
Bailey, Dr.
Bailey. I
Bailey.
thought it was Bailey. Thank you. It's Bailey. How many times she was experiencing harassment at the hands of an unqualified man who had no business being president of that university. And so I spent some time, as I spent time recovering, I spent time looking at the pattern. And so I want to talk about how we can and should. I hope there's some younger sisters on here besides those of us who are middle aged. I hope there are some younger sisters on here, because I'm going to walk you through my story, but I'm also going to walk you through the patterns, and I'm going to walk you through the options and the strategies that you have. And again, this is not about everyone should be an entrepreneur. I don't believe that. I'm loving my entrepreneur journey right now, but I don't believe everyone should be an entrepreneur. What I do believe is that all of us should set up a foundation for our own sovereignty, such that if you ever have to walk away, if you never have to walk away, that's great. You have something more to offer the market than the salary that one employer gives you. You should have a second stream of income, whether that's through real estate, consulting. You have gifts, talents, skills, and abilities to offer the market that are not dependent upon an employer. And I do believe in sovereignty for everyone, not entrepreneurship for everyone. So I was fired unexpectedly, unjustly. I had no plan. I am a poverty baby, not a trust fund baby. I was ashamed. I was anxious. And for the first time in my life, I have struggled on and off with depression over the course of my life. So I know what my depression triggers and symptoms. I know how that manifests. I had never experienced anxiety. It felt like an ulcer. It would wake me up at night. It would come usually as I was attempting to sleep, waking me up out of my sleep, or as I rose every morning, just faced with anxiety every day. It was physical, it manifested physically. I never experienced panic, because here I am at 58 years old, and I've always had good jobs, good government jobs, good salaries, third C-suite, and now here I am waking up at 57 and I ain't got no job, Tommy. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, right? And then you add on top of that what I believe to be an unjust termination. And I was just devastated. I was devastated. I was humiliated. The only thing that I held on to was the fact that I knew I'd done nothing wrong. That I knew. So I never internalized the firing. I didn't have to ask myself, what did I do? What could I have done differently? I was very clear that I hadn't done anything to warrant a termination. But nevertheless, my story went national. If you Google my name, before January 2nd of 2024, if you Googled my name, you saw Leslie Marant, health hero, Leslie Marant, fitness, Leslie Marant, health, Leslie Marant, social justice, equity. You Google my name today, you see Leslie Marant, chief DEI, first DEI officer of the Philadelphia Police Department, terminated. If you scroll a little bit more, you'll see my termination first. You scroll some more, you'll see my hiring next. It takes a while to get down to the other stuff. And it took me months to not wear that as shame and humiliation. For legal reasons, I couldn't talk about it. So I'm someone who emotes by writing, can write about it, not the way I wanted to write about it. And so I was internalizing the rage, the devastation, the humiliation. A friend of mine, for the week that I got fired, I did not sleep. I'm a greedy girl, y'all. I eat my emotions. So I know when I'm going through something, I eat, you know. I got fired on a Tuesday. By Saturday, I had only eaten 2 meals. I slept maybe a total of 8 hours because I went into attorney mode. I went into where's all of my documentation? Where's all of my stuff? Let me pull all of everything. What do I have? What do I have? What can I tell? What do I need to? I got to get my packet together. All the things that attorneys tell people not to do. Let me try your case. You're not going to try your own case. I tried my own case in my head, in my bed for a week. And finally, friends called and said, I called, I had a sister circle, I need my hugs and my love. And people knew to come because I am the person that people come to in trouble. I'm not the person who makes the call. So I'm so grateful. And that's why I consider the gathering of Black women sacred space. And friends looked at me, and the next thing I knew, I got an email that said, put your information in here because you need to go away. I was like, what? Who paid for it? And I'm the person who sends the money. I'm not the person who receives the money. So there was embarrassment. And they were like, if you don't fill this out and get on the plane and go. And so I was in St. Martin's for 10 days, and they were 10 days that literally saved my life. Not that I had suicidal ideations. It was 10 days of, okay, got to figure some things out. And I did not figure things out in those 10 days. Let's be very clear. There were no answers, but there was some shedding. There was some leaving it all in the ocean. There was some, and when I came back, things did not magically change, but I needed to sleep. I needed to eat. I needed to not really have to take care of myself. So I'm so grateful. And I still don't know who it is. I have some suspicions. I think they're on here, but they'll never tell me. And I'm okay with that because that's what Black women do for each other. What happens with Black women, no matter what stage of our professional career it is, as young women, when we enter the workspace, we are constantly questioned and doubted. Right? What school did you go to? What was your GPA? Do you really belong here? And that lasts and it stays with us throughout our careers in one way or the other. Sometimes it's overt, sometimes it's insidious. Mid-level career women, we are leaned on. This is where we overperform. We over deliver, right? And so we're the bedrock. We're the mammies of the office in a professional way. We are going to show up. We're going to deliver, but then we get overlooked. Our promotions can be slower. They cannot happen. And then there are those of us who I am convinced now that the 21 women, not the Harvard professor who I don't know personally, but I know I'm talking 20 Black women in the last 18 months that I know personally who have been demoted, fired, pushed out, laid off. Just as we're looking toward at 50 years old, you're counting your retirement shekels. You're figuring the day when you can turn in keys and ID cards and say, I'm gone, goodbye. And to be terminated, to be without a job, to have to file for unemployment. I was like, who filed for unemployment? Me? That's for them other people. That's the thing that me and my social justice self, I believe in paying taxes for. I don't file. Me? And then my coach said, in my language, you ain't got no job, Tommy. You got to file. And I'm like, I cannot believe this. And so I had done all of the things that we're supposed to do. I've got 3 months of liquid assets. I can, so I can live for 3 months. I'm throwing my stellar resume in the street and nothing's hitting. What do you mean nothing's hitting? I'm a 3-time C-suite person. What are you talking about? But as you age, your salary gets higher, your expectations get higher. And so it's harder for your resumes to get picked up, right? So if anybody's going through that, you are not by yourself. Your worth is not in the rejections or the silence that you're hearing. It's a matter of capitalism, pay, maybe some sexism, maybe some racism. I don't want to lean on those things. When we get further into this conversation, I want to talk to you about how you make something of your own. Because no matter what happens with Black women, we will always be too loud in places and spaces that never wanted us to hear our voices, right? So we're tokens until we're no longer useful. When we stand in the fullness of our position and our authority, we are a problem. No one wants to submit to our leadership in professional spaces, and yet we persist, but at what cost? And again, I'm going to say it 10 times if I say it once. I am not here to preach entrepreneurial evangelism. I am here to say, set yourself up for sovereignty. No matter if you never go into your business full time, find a way, and we'll talk about the strategies. Find a way to own something, to stop giving away your gifts, your talents, your abilities for free, to monetize them, right? So, how did I get out of it? I wasn't in a rut. I was recovering. Pardon me. I was recovering. To anybody who's experienced loss, termination, getting laid off, what I want you to do, if you're capable, you recover as long as your money allows. You have experienced a harm. There is a grieving process. You have experienced an injury to ego. If it was unjust, you have experienced something that may have been unlawful. And to the extent that your dollars allow you, and I understand that is absolutely a point and position of privilege. And my privilege ended after a while because it's 18 months later, and I do not work for anyone. So I did run out. I ran through my savings. I did the 3 months, I did the 6 months. As it started getting closer to 6 months, I'm looking like, uh-oh. My mother looking like, you're going to get a job. I'm like, I don't know, mommy, I don't know what I'm going to do, because I mentally was not okay. And so I spent a lot of time recovering. And what did that recovery look like? That recovery looked like 2-hour walks with my dog, gym, chilling. And in the back of my mind, I kept saying, I'm not doing anything. I'm throwing my resume out there. It's not really. And my therapist said, you are recovering. And she distinguished rest between recovery. And she said, you cannot rest until you recover. Rest and we use those terms interchangeably, but they are not the same thing. When you experience a harm, you have to recover. If you experience an injury and there's a scar, an open wound, and we stitch it up, you're recovering. It's not healed until there's a scar. And then you figure out how you're gonna, if you have hyperpigmentation, you reduce the coloring of the scar. That's the resting part, but the recovery is the healing, the tightness of the skin, all of that. And so I spent a lot of time in 2024 recovering. I don't regret one moment of it. I needed it. I really needed it. So I used up savings. And 2 weeks before I was fired, I had invested in a coach. When I got fired, I was like, can I have my money back? It was like, that's not how it works. I was like, no, seriously, I need my money back. Because I had thought about, I'd always wanted to be a speaker. People had asked me to speak. I'd spoken for free. A lot had been requested. And for me, it wasn't worth I worked for public employers. So if I took additional income, I would have had to go through the process of getting approval to have a part-time job. And quite frankly, I didn't want people in my business like that. I was like, I worked for some insecure bosses. If one of these bosses know that somebody offered me $2,500, $3,000, $5,000 to speak, that's okay. I don't want to go through what I thought I would experience if I accepted the money. So I did so much volunteer speaking, right? I was honing a skill that I did not know would now become my jam, would become my income. I stumbled. I didn't cry for 9 months. I knew I needed to cry. I knew I was hurt. I was enraged. I was humiliated. I was ashamed. I tried to force the tears. Y'all, they would not come. And then I invested in two things. I invested in a business coach for myself. And I wanted to be a speaker. I am now a speaker. I went to a speaking intensive And I'm in this small cohort of 6 people. There are 2 Black women, and the tears that I had been trying to push forth came out in the middle of this speaking intensive. And I was mortified because I'm doing the speaking exercise. I'm trying, and we had to pick a topic. And I was trying to figure out how to have a topic that wasn't about the police department, that mentioned it without getting me in legal trouble, and figuring out how to tell my story. So we had to practice. And I practiced, and in the middle of me practicing, here come the tears. And I don't mean tears, I mean the hucking, the and I'm mortified because I'm crying in front of white women. I'm like, Lord Jesus, Look, you got jokes. I'm trying to stop the tears that I was trying to force. And I mean, I'm doing the huckabuck crying, the snot and the that. And then the white women are hugging me. And I'm like, Lord, I'm getting consoled by white people. Jesus, you got so many jokes. And that's when my voice was released. And then I got fired in January and in September. Then I started to grind. It's May now. I have not looked back. I look at my Facebook memories, I think about conversations with my friends, and I am 180 degrees away from where I was a year ago. I am a public speaker. I am a consultant. I have clients. I'm moving. I'm grooving. My back bedroom has turned into a real office. There's no bed, like it's the place that I work now. I stumble sometimes, I make mistakes, but the reason that I chose this, and I am in no way suggesting that we all should choose this, but the reason that I'm no longer interested in employment, or shall I say, someone would have to pay me stupid money, and I do mean stupid money, to even think about another job. The agency that I have, the freedom of speech that I have, the liberation that I have, um, is priceless. I would not change it for anything right now. Now, it is somewhat scary. I got paid every 2 weeks. On the first, I paid so many bills with the first paycheck of the month. I paid the other half of the bills with the second paycheck. I put a designated amount in savings, got that matched and everything. Entrepreneurship is not for everyone. Is the fear completely gone? Every now and then, I'm doing business development, I'm delivering the business product, and I'm doing my admin work. And I'm like, that's a lot. I had a secretary, I had admin assistants at the police department, I had a driver. Now, y'all see, I got technical problems and my Wi-Fi act up sometime, but I still wouldn't change it. And so again, I'm not saying that entrepreneurship is for everyone, but sovereignty must be. So what is that different? What do I mean when I say that? We need income that is not tied to one employer or one system. Everybody on this call has a skill set. List out the top 5 things that people call you for, or at your job that people say that you, as Black women, we over deliver. So people are constantly coming to you for 1, 2, 3, 4 things. That's the skill set that is useful in the market, right? So to my younger sisters who are on this call, I want you to recognize your value early. No one has gifted you. Here's what I know for sure. One thing for certain and 2 things for sure. These are the things that I know about Black women. No one gifts us space. No one bends over backwards to say, oh, here's an opportunity for the Black girl. We have earned our way into every space that we occupy. We simply do not have the liberty and the privilege that other demographics of people may have. We are considered it doesn't matter how softly we speak, it's too loud for some. It doesn't matter how much we conform to the ideals of professionalism. Something about us is going to be unprofessional. Our errors are going to be magnified 10 times more than anyone else's. Our wins and victories are going to be diminished. Our credit is going to be stolen. So to my young sisters, I tell you now, recognize your value early. Stand in it, own in it. Own it. Make sure it's being affirmed, even if it's not in your places of employment, by the circle that you build. Make sure that you never allow your place of employment to identify you, your title to identify you. I'm grateful that that was the one thing. I'm like, okay, I'm a lawyer. It was weird, right? To be fired. I was like, I don't have a title. I don't have a job. I don't have a paycheck. What am I? Not who am I? What am I? I was like, and so when I started working with my coach, I'm like, she's like, Leslie, you're this, you're that, you're the other. And I'm in the corner like, what is somebody gonna, I'm an attorney. I don't want to practice law. Who's gonna pay me to do what? And she's laughing like, are you kidding me? And so know the service that you bring. Stop giving away your gifts for free. For the mid-career women, what would it look like if you turned your brilliance into your own offer? I don't mean working for yourself full time. If that's what you choose to do, cool. We will talk about strategies about how to do that. But if you got a slamming job that you love, you still have services, you still have gifts to bring to market, you should develop that thing. Don't be in the position that I was in to have the rug pulled from under your feet and then developing now by necessity what I must do. You can lay that foundation earlier. People, I've been told to write a book for 15 years. I've been told to be a consultant. I was a fitness trainer, but I like to eat now, so that might not be my jam anymore. I had a thriving reputation about the way I approach health and wellness. I was a personal trainer, still am. I never really made the business out of those things. I should have, and I urge each one of you to do the same. So your young sisters recognize your value. You are not, no one's doing you a favor by you being in this space. We're the highest educated demographic in this country. You've earned your right to be in those spaces. Mid-career women, what would it look like if the things that everybody relies on you for, if you develop that for yourself? To the senior women, don't let your gifts only be used. Don't let your gifts expire in the place that doesn't really welcome you, that doesn't honor you. It's not too late for you to do your development of your income. If you're, to everybody on this call, if your job ended tomorrow, what do you have that belongs to you? I'm not talking about your assets. I'm not talking about your income. I'm not talking about your savings. I'm talking about what do you own as a product that you can take to market that belongs to you. Before I got fired, there were something, so I didn't do everything. Before I was unjustly terminated, people would, but some of my coaching people would have a fit if they heard me say I got fired. I do not claim that language. I say I was unjustly terminated. But before that happened, I did do some things right. And I'm going to share some of that with you. I applied to a job at least once a year just to assess my resume. If I threw my resume in the street always just to see if my resume was ready, to see if it was current, to see if I was meeting the new standards, if I was using if my resume was getting through the ATS systems. Always know what your value is in the market. Don't be defined by that value because the market is crazy, it's capitalism, but you need to know what the market is going to offer you. I don't care how long you've been on your job. I don't care what position you hold at your job. Always throw your resume in the street. And if someone's not picking it up, if you're not getting phone calls, then you need to look at your resume. Your resume you need to get some help with your resume because you should be throwing that resume in the street just to be aware. The days of going to a job and working 30, 35, 40 years, those days are over. We flip over jobs. And thank God the young folks realize this. It's those of us who are middle-aged who are like, what's happening here? What's happening when the hand begins writing on the wall mid-career, 40, 45, 50 years old? You keep a current resume. You throw that resume in the street. And for throwing your resume in the street looks different for all of us. For some of us, that involves a headhunter. For some of us, it involves just, I'm a young career, I'm a mid-career person. I'm not quite headhunter ready. You throw your resume in the street and you use that resume for your own knowledge. Sometimes you use those incomes and those job offers that you get. Sometimes you'll just see, okay, what's happening with me? Use some PTO, use some vacation time to go on some interviews just so you can see how you're landing in the market, right? If you're landing in the market very well, you use that when it's time for your raises. You use it when it's time for your increases. And if it works out really well for you, you leave it to make your exit. No job is loyal to you. You should be loyal to no job. Capitalism in this day and age says the days of 30 years are over, right? So that's how you keep track of your market, of your value in the market. But why did I choose not to go back into the market? One, I'm 57 years old. I show up in this way at work, in my places of employment. I am as smart, if not smarter than every boss I've had. I am as good, if not better than every boss I've ever had. I have chosen, I do not like to be the head. I am the best right hand from an employee perspective. I'm the best right hand anybody ever had. I'm a great girlfriend, a great wife. I am the best right hand because I prefer strongly for the head of the organization to go out, to make the contracts, to shake the hands, to do the fundraising, to kiss the babies. And they know that they can travel, they can do anything because back at the ranch, they have someone who is as capable of them. And not only am I as capable, I'm not interested in your position. I have no interest in being the face of anything. My mouth was a little too slick, maybe. But I want to be the right hand. I really love being the person that a boss can rely on and say, Les is back at the ranch. She got it. But you know what kind of boss it takes to have someone as smart or smarter? A really smart boss needs smarter people than them on the team, and they're not threatened. You know how many really smart, insecure people and secure people hold leadership positions? Not many. Many of our leaders are narcissistic. Many of our leaders are insecure. And so we Black women, when we show up, because of what it takes for us to ascend, we come with confidence. We come with preparedness. We come with a history of over delivering. We come when we get elevated to director, executive, vice president, senior vice president, president, CEO. We show up in a certain way no matter what our personalities are. We show up with the history of employment behind us, with the history of keeping our heads on a swivel, and we move directly, and that is not appreciated often by many, by white men, white women, Black men, and sometimes by Black women. It's a separate conversation, a separate call about the harm that's done to Black women by other Black people. That's another conversation. That's not for today. But why did I choose the sovereignty? Why did I choose to be an entrepreneur? Because I am no longer interested in navigating leadership insecurities. I'm no longer interested in leadership in executive spaces that I've earned the right to be in, acting as though I should be happy to be there. I am no longer interested in keeping my head on a swivel, playing both defense and offense in my place of employment. I'm no longer interested in being more than willing to be the person who says, when we're sitting in a strategy session and everyone knows this makes no sense and everyone's sitting there, and I'm going to say, pardon me, very diplomatically, very professionally, the emperor has no clothes. Can we now proceed? Because everyone's afraid to say the emperor has no clothes. We are proceeding as though the emperor is fully clothed and he's naked. So yes, now I'm that person and now you're all upset, but we need to solve the problem. So yes, Leslie's the person who said the emperor is naked, but we actually really do need to get to the larger problem behind his nudity, right? It's resented. When we stand in the fullness of who we are, it's resented. And at 58 years old, I'm not interested. I'm not interested. So today I speak freely. I make a living on my own terms and I love it. I do. It's a little scary. And again, I am not suggesting in any way that you become an entrepreneur. I'm not an entrepreneur evangelist. This is hard. This is hard. What I did at work was hard. All of the emotional and mental gymnastics I had to play to stay, that was hard. This is also hard. It's just a different kind of hard, but this is my choice and this is my freedom. I wish I had prepared in some ways earlier. I wish that I had, done the LLC. And so for my younger sisters who are on this call, you make those business mistakes early when it really doesn't cost you anything. Not when you have to. Like right now, when I stumble, it might cost me something. You stumble when it doesn't cost you anything. When you're gainfully employed, when you're securely employed, to any of you who are gainfully and securely employed, this is now the time to test the market, to test the experiment, to figure out the branding, to figure out all the operating systems and the CRMs and everything else, right? But I'm not looking back at all. I stand in my choice and I love it. I am liberated and free in a way that I have never been. And so I want to invite you, if I can share a toolkit. Helen, can you give me sharing rights?
You have them.
All right, awesome. Where's my toolkit? Hold on one second. I'm going to share a toolkit. I want to go through the toolkit really quickly. Hold on one moment. Let's cancel that for a second. Hold on one moment. I'm going to go through a toolkit really quickly that I've developed, and I will be happy to share it with you all. Here we go. And it is called From Survival to Sovereignty. And again, this is not about becoming an entrepreneur. It's about setting yourself up to own something of your own. Whether you are, can you all see that? Do you see From Survival to Sovereignty?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. I was like, somebody say something. Somebody tell me something. Awesome.
Totally can't find the button.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Okay, here we go. Y'all with me? All right, good. I know. Listen, I did not have mimosas today, but my mimosa waiting, so I got you. All right. So here's my strategy. Here's what I recommend. Right. So for those of you who fill out at the end, Booker wants to say hi. I am so sorry. Booker, listen. So I developed this toolkit. If you fill out the QR, there'll be a QR code while we're doing the questions and answers. And if you fill that out and give me your email address, I'm going to send you this toolkit, right? But why is that doing that? All right. There we go. How does that keep doing that? All right, hold on one second. Okay, this is part of my entrepreneurial journey. How to read whether or not you're being set up at your job. Do you get stretch assignments, or are you stuck with invisible labor? How are you evaluated on performance or perception? Like, are you clear that when you get your annual evaluation, that you have objective criteria? Does that criteria change for you versus other people? Are your wins credited to you, or are they absorbed? Are you being advanced at your job, or are you being used to cover up a problem? Those are the signals. Those are the handwriting, things that get written on the wall that some of us miss sometimes, right? I need to let you know that in your place of employment, your mentor does not have to be Black. Some of the people, and this is not about white supremacy, this is not about racism. You need a mentor who has power to speak your name in rooms that you cannot enter. They do not need to be Black, but they do need to be positioned. They need to be respected, and they need to advocate for you in real rooms. Now, I'm going to tell y'all, I'm going to act like and pretend. I'm going to tell y'all the truth about this slide. There's more above here, but I can't figure out how to get there. So we just going to keep on going. All right, so here we go. So the things that get you to sovereignty, again, I want you to understand that I'm not talking about entrepreneurship for everybody. I'm talking about sovereignty. You stay ready. You keep your resume, you stay in the market, and you check your mirror. Update your resume every 6 months. I don't care how long you've been on your job. I don't care if you think they love you. If you think they love you, someone might love you more. And your job needs to know that. They need to know that. Now, you got to be wise. You can't be walking around talking about, the other people said they pay me 10% more, then they're going to offer you that. Sometime they might offer you out the door. That's not what you want, beloved. But keep your resume up to date. Keep it up to date. You need a resume before you need a resume. You feel me? You keep your resume current. And your resume traction lets you know if your resume is cool or not. And you can play with your resume when you don't need it. That's why I'm telling you. Now, that's the one thing I did. I stayed in a job interview. I'm sick today. I need a half day today. because I got to go in the morning, or I'm coming in late or something because I got to go see what the other people saying. And there were many times I got job offers and said, okay, no, I'm going to stay here. But you don't wait until you need a resume to get a new resume. You apply for at least one job a year, at least one. You track what's happening in the market. What happens is we get comfortable, right? We get comfortable with our job, but our jobs don't necessarily get comfortable with us. We're Black women, right? You keep a glow file. And when I say glow, I mean glowing about you, about your metrics, your outcome, and your praise, right? You keep a file on you. You keep practicing interviewing so that you are not rusty when the time comes. The goal is not to leave, but it's to be ready, to know what your worth is, right? It's about leverage. You got to own something. You got to own something. I do look back and say, whoo, I had so many opportunities so that when this moment came, I couldn't change anything. I was in no way in control of what happened with my termination. But I was in control of having a foundation to launch from, right? I didn't take advantage of the numerous times I spoke a lot. I didn't really take payment for it though. And so no matter what you do, no matter what your profession is, you can offer something. You can offer a workshop or a training. You can offer consulting services. You can offer curriculum or framework. You can offer a digital product. You can offer domain services. You have something. I don't care what your profession is. Again, go back to the 3 or 4 things. People come to, we Black women, don't tell me that people don't show up at your desk, knocking at your door all the time because there's something that you do really, really well. That's your money jam. That's your thing that you can make yours. That's the own something that you can do. Protect yourself. Protect yourself. Protect yourself.
Protect yourself.
Protect yourself. Save all of your praise at work. All of it. Do not save it on them people's computers. Do not save it on them people's phones. Do not email yourself from your job email to your personal email in creating your protection file. You understand what I'm saying? I need to see some claps, some something. Don't be using them people's stuff to protect yourself. All right. If you find yourself unexpectedly terminated, guess what the first thing they're going to do? Shut all your stuff off. You have to document. You have to screenshot. You have to save. You have to download. You have to have your own, your glow file and your protection file. You have to have those things on your own devices. You want to document everything. You want to keep timestamp records. You want to know your company's HR policies and complaint procedures. If you find yourself in a challenging situation, you want to identify an attorney early and keep a working relationship. But again, this is not about entrepreneurship. This is about sovereignty. Be ready, stay ready, own something, and protect yourself. Because as Black women, we again are losing jobs faster than everybody else. You don't have to go it alone. I'm going to pause for 1 minute only because my computer is saying low battery, and I want to get through this really quickly. And what I'll do is get through the toolkit, and then we'll have a conversation. Let me go plug my computer in. I only have like 2 more slides. You do not build your freedom. Whether you exercise your freedom or not, build the basis of your freedom, right? And so what does every Black woman need? You need a mentor or a coach. You need a therapist. You need a therapist. You need a therapist. We Black, we women, I don't know how you think that if you have not done therapy, I don't know how. I don't know how. I don't know how you living in the United States of America as a Black woman and don't think that there's a basis for therapy. I love my therapist. When I got fired.
Absolutely. God bless you too. Thank you so much.
Hello?
Somebody needs a mute.
My friends
Go
told me
ahead.
to go to therapy. I had been through my therapist back and forth over 20 years. 20 years, a divorce, a child with autism, kids that want to show me their booty every now and then, all kind of stuff. When I went to therapy after I was unjustly terminated, I went to the session. I don't know what I looked like. And for the first time in 20 years, my therapist said, "You don't look well." And I was like, "Excuse me?" This woman sent me through a very hostile divorce, difficult custody, child with autism, sued the school district of Philadelphia 4 times, all kind of stuff. And she had never mentioned how I looked. But that job, she said, "You don't look good." I said, "Dang, Dr. Perkins, you never said that to me." She said, "You ain't never come in here looking like that." I was like, "Oh, okay. Okay." Um, if you get to the point where you need a lawyer, then you got to get one. And you need a circle. You need a circle of support. Um, this here's your documentation file. You need your offer letter, your employment contracts, all of your employment, all of your performance evaluations. You need letters of support. Anytime somebody praised you, get that thing in writing. Get it in writing. Get it in writing. Document the pain, document the praise. You need screenshots or documentation of your harassment and misrepresentation. You need your resume always, all time, and you need your contact and ally list. All right? So this is your reminder that sovereignty is the goal, not entrepreneurship. You are your asset. Your freedom, should anything happen to you, is in you, not another job. It's in you. You may get another job. Again, I'm not an entrepreneurial evangelist. I am a sovereignty evangelist. You are not just a worker. You are a leader. You're a builder. You're a creator. You don't become a Black woman, a mature Black woman in this world without being any and all of those things. We deserve to thrive. And although I have been unjustly terminated and without income from an employer for 18 months, I am living my best life. I love it. I love it. I'm not saying that answer is for everybody, but you deserve to thrive on your own terms. Lay the foundation. I'm going to come out of full screen because I can't figure out how to get you all to see everything. There you go. You are not paranoid. You are not dramatic. You are not alone, and your survival is not accidental. Your legacy belongs to you, not your job. Your legacy belongs to you. And again, I'm not telling y'all to quit. I swear y'all better not get off this call and talking about Leslie. I've got off the phone talking with Leslie. I'm ready to quit my job. I ain't got no money. You can't move in here or nothing. I got enough kibble for me and Booker. That's about it. Okay. I even tipped my mama somewhere. I'm joking, of course, but you are your asset. Don't wait for what we know to happen to Black women before you start building the thing that you own, right? So I'm going to leave this screen up for a moment. I'm going to invite Helen to open the door for questions and conversation, but I must get a plug before before my battery dies. So I'm going to go for one moment. Stay connected. Use this QR code. Yeah, use this QR code. I will send you this toolkit, the full toolkit, so you have it yourself. If you want to stay connected for any other reason, I'm not pitching, I'm not selling. But if any of this landed with you, resonated with you, I do the QR code. There's an evaluation form. So let me just go and get my the charger before my computer dies. I will be right back, ladies. Helen, can you just hold it down while I run it? Thank you so much. Be right back.
Yeah, so I think that was a really wonderful presentation with Leslie, and there's no question in my mind that, I'm going to speak and say that most of us probably have seen ourselves at some point in her presentation. I can tell you that my current situation is pretty much the same. I was constructively discharged. I don't know if you know what that means. That's when your employer makes your work experience so unbearable that you just like, I'm out of here. I see in the chat somebody else indicated that they quit their job. And I'm going to share with y'all the meme that I left on the last day of my work because I'm like, you have to protect your peace, ladies. There is no job that is worth your health. And I'm glad Leslie talked about the same things that I talk about in terms of the women, Black women who have lost their lives. I mean, Dr. Bonnie literally committed suicide. That was the lady at Lincoln, Missouri. But she went to help. And the problem is that she's at an HBCU, which should be a space where we are comfortable. She was not even able to be protected in a space that's created for us. And when we talk about inclusion, can we recognize that sometimes as Black people, we are so inclusive until we exclude ourselves. We effectively exclude ourselves from the tables that we've created for ourselves. And we need to be better at not doing that. So yeah. And we can
I'm
talk.
sorry, Helen. I'm all plugged in. If you want to throw some of the questions my way, or I don't know how you generally handle questions, but I'm here
Okay.
and open.
So let me do this. Well, so everybody, if you haven't gotten the QR code, we can put it back up for you later on. But right now, I'm going to stop sharing the screen.
Sure.
I'm sorry. Did somebody say something? Leslie, do you see the thing to stop sharing your screen? Where
Oh
is
yeah,
the
hold
thing?
on one sec. Does anybody still need the QR code? I'll send it in the chat anyway. I'll send the QR code in the chat. I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay,
There
cool.
you go.
Yeah. So let me see. Let me figure out where I don't know what I am on this thing right now. So yeah. So Leslie, can you see the questions in the chats?
Oh, I thought you were gathering them.
Okay, hold on. I'm trying to do too many things at once.
Well,
So
you can,
let me.
and I don't know what you do. Do you have people raise hands? Do you know?
Yeah, no. So yeah, so people, I'm trying to hold on. Let me figure out what I'm doing here because I don't see. I'm trying to get myself back on the screen. Okay, where am I? I have no idea. Okay, I'm having an issue here of my own. So yeah, I see a hand is up. Sabra, Miss Townsend, you have a question, you can go ahead and ask Leslie.
I do. Thank you. It's Sabra. Hi,
Oh, I'm
Leslie.
sorry.
Thank
Hi,
you. No
Sabra.
worries. No worries. No worries. Thank you
Oh,
so much for
mhm.
this session. And I think someone else also asked a similar question. And I know you said you're not an entrepreneurial evangelist in terms of sovereignty. I'm just curious if you care to share how you handle the health insurance medical
Hmm.
coverage issue as you stepped out into your journey. Thank you.
And that's a really important question. And I wish that I had a better answer because my situation is unique. I've retired. I took an early retirement from the federal government. They had a buyout years before. Uh, I took it in 2019. So I took an early retirement. And as an early retiree, I have health benefits for life. And I must say that that is the thing that keeps me. I'm cool. Even when I worked at the police department and they offered every job I had after I retired, I turned down those benefits because I have retirement, I have health insurance for life. So that's a real thing. You know, I don't have an answer for other folks. I just know for me to do this launch, when everything else, some of my friends right now who are unemployed, they are struggling with or unemployed temporarily because these sisters are going to do their thing too. Listen. I am such a Black woman evangelist now. I'm like, girl, listen. First of all, I'm so risk adverse. I'm a zero tolerance, but like I ain't had no job, Tommy. I had no choice, right? Nobody was picking up the phone. Nobody was like, oh Jesus, I'm not used to this. I'm a superstar. What the hell? What the hell? I ain't got no job, Tommy. So I had to force the situation, but I had my health insurance, so no matter what else. I didn't have to pay $1,000, $1,500, $2,000. I have health insurance for life. So that is one of the things that set me up to say, I can relax a little bit, at least with that expense. Mine is covered for life.
That is a real issue. I can tell you that when I quit my job, you can do Cobra, but Cobra is so expensive. You might pay like even before I took this job, I was doing contract work and I was paying out of pocket almost $800 a month, y'all, for health insurance. That's a lot. But I could afford it. So at this present time, I just went on Obamacare, and it's not the best, but it gives you something. And fortunately, I'm in good health and nothing crazy is going on. And in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I'll be 65. Ooh. So I can get Medicare. So you have to look at where you are in life and what you can and cannot do. But that's a very good question because health insurance is a big consideration when you make this kind of move. Miss Phillips, I see your hand.
Um,
Good evening, ladies, and thank you so much for sharing your story. We've been messaging back and forth via Messenger, and it was only, I believe, through divine intervention that I came across the post that you had made regarding our spaces. Miss Helen, thank you, because I was trying to describe what has happened to me in my latest transition, constructively being forced out. And that's where I find myself in this journey. I never thought that after spending so many years fighting and proving myself and working above and beyond, till it all where you're lacking self-care because you were 10 times harder, um, just to even get an inch at the table. My question to you, Miss Leslie, is, as I'm one recovering, because I think that is very important. I've spent several years dedicating my life to this career, so recovering. But as you start to navigate and move up back into um, the job market, whether it be you starting something on your own or working for someone else, how do you express your value? Um, because looking at my LinkedIn profile and people seeing what's going on now with our current state and the government, uh, they look at it and they go, oh, we can lowball her. Um, she's educated, but we can give her the bare minimum because she's desperate, or she's too educated. Um, so how do you navigate those spaces where uh, either they're trying to lowball you, or you're absolutely too educated for the position, so um, you're not even considered?
So one, let me all just pause and ask everybody on the call who is a praying person to just send up prayers for a sister who shared. Um, I'm in a better place, much better place than I was a year ago. But a year ago, first of all, um, I hear, I hear the fear, I hear the pain, I hear the disappointment. And I'm not some of my friends are on this call. I'm not a touchy-feely person. But what happened being pushed out, because when I took my early retirement, just really, really quickly, I was a senior staff attorney in the district court. They needed to shrink staff. Uh, I had previously worked with 3 attorneys. The 2 senior attorneys retired. I was the only one left. And then they hired a bevy of white girls, 5 of them. I had been there 7 years before any of them had thought about that job. They came and said, we need to shrink. We need to do a reduction in force. They offered the reduction in force to everyone except me. I knocked on the boss's door and said, hey, wait a second, because I was close to 50. Then I'm like, I've been ready to go. Y'all got a buyout, I'll take it. She reclassified my job and said, it does not apply to you. I said, okay, cool. A year later, she knocked on my door and said, oh, are you interested in that buyout? I said, no. And then I had a series of meetings with my immediate boss and a couple of the judges who said, well, we understand you're not interested in the buyout, but your job will change. It was a clear push out, a clear push out. So I said, cool, I'll take this money. But in the meantime, when my 2 senior colleagues left, we had like an L, and there was a corner office. And when they left, the big boss said, Leslie, do you want that office? I said, Lane been in there 30 years. Y'all gonna put some new rugs? She said, oh, absolutely. I said, okay, you clean I'll take it. So they cleaned the office and no one's in the office. And I knock on the door and I said, well, I want to move into the office. She said, oh no, we're going to do something else with the office. So I said to my colleague, 7 years, my junior in terms of employment, not age, she said, well, one of us should get the office, white girl. I looked at her and I said, how do you figure you should get the office? I've been here 7 years before you. She said, well, I mean, you and I were hired first. I said, no, 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 you and I weren't hired first. I was hired 7 years before you, bitch. And I'm like, people crazy, right? And instead of giving me the office, they hired 5 new white girls because we needed to get our part of the department larger. They turned that office into a lawyer only, and we were the only lawyers, and I was the only Black one, lawyer only breakfast and lunchroom, an office. And so they put coffee and a microwave. Instead of giving me the office that was due me, they made it a lunchroom and a breakfast room. And then they wondered why I closed my door. I was cordial and did not speak. And so the push out began. So I understand the constructive push out. Back to the question that you asked. I hired previously, not now for my own thing, but previously I hired a resume expert who was an expert in the ATS system and how to align my job, what I was saying in my resume and my cover letter to get through the ATS system. You can presume that, yeah, we absolutely are to educate, especially depending on age and level. It's a hard game. The job market is tighter now. But at this age, depending, can I just ask what level of your career do you consider yourself? Younger, mid-career, or more senior and executive?
Career.
Mid-career. So once you get past the younger entry level stage, for lack of a better word, your job connections really are not coming through cold resume submissions. They're coming through relationships. They're coming through friends. They're coming through a connection who has a connection who has a connection, right? And so if you see something on LinkedIn, right, you look at LinkedIn and says, who is connected to this? And even if you don't have a direct relationship, you look at your LinkedIn connections and say, is there anybody who can connect me here? Because the connections, most people at our level, mid-career and above, I'm not saying it never happens because it absolutely does, but most of us are you'll say, oh, I saw this job and so-and-so works there. Can you let me know who's the HR person? Can you let them know my stuff is coming through? You make it past the ATS system. When it comes to salary, that is first of all, we all have to eat, right? I cannot tell you what price to stop at, what's your minimum and your maximum, but you know your worth. And I say stand in your worth. I do. I say stand in your worth and negotiate your worth. See if you, and some of those connections can help you find the information. How much are you paying? What's the salary range? You know what I mean? And so let's say a job is 230 to 350. I kind of, if they say how much you want, I split the baby. If the range is 230 to 350, the split in that is a $60,000 range, then give me 290. We starting at 290. If I only even made 170 before, y'all don't know that. You don't know that. I want to know what the range is. Some better employers are publishing the salary range so that they're not even playing with you.
Yeah.
Some let you know up front what it is. Those are the better places, I believe, because that way I know whether it's worth my time. I don't know if there are any HR folks that on here who have something contribute or can put something more in the chat. It's hard. It's a hard game we play because we are overeducated, and they do want to lowball. So it's like either she has too much education, she's going to want too much money, so we're not even going to bring her in, or we bring her in and she's desperate. Well, desperation is up to you. The way you present is up to you.
So, coming from an HR perspective, Leslie is correct. First of all, know that when they ask you what was your former salary, you do not have to share that information. There was a time that you had to, but you do not have to do that now because what difference does that make? They will try and judge what they will pay you. Like, who are they to decide what your next raise should be? So the best question is to ask, what is the range? And then you can talk because it's not just a salary. You got to look at, it's $80,000, but then, how much am I going to be paying for health insurance and all this stuff, So, and it's hard if you're stepping out on your own. I think the hard thing is to figure out what you think you're worth. And Leslie can talk to that. It's hard. How do you negotiate a contract? How do you lowball? You want to lowball yourself so that people take advantage of you. And when you go into a job, you don't want to lowball yourself either, because then you end up in a situation where when it's time for you to move. Let me share this with you all real quickly. You all remember Omarosa, and I don't like Omarosa, but I will tell you that when they came for Omarosa, they couldn't touch her because Omarosa understood that she was a snake and she was in bed with Snake. So throughout her career, she was documenting. So everything that they tried to say to her, she said, really? Pulled out her calendar. On what day? Oh no, we didn't have. So they didn't know how to deal with her. And it's unfortunate that we have to be in the workplace and be on the I don't play, is it offensive or defensive? I forget. I don't play sports, but that you have to always be looking out for yourself. But that's what it is, and it's about CYA, and and I dropped a lot of articles for you guys in the chats. Make sure that you take those articles and read them. The one that's very popular is when the Black woman goes from the office pet to the office threat. When we come in, we're so happy to have you. You've got all these great ideas. And then, as Leslie indicated, very often we find that we're smarter than everybody else, and they know that too. And they don't want to report to us. The position that I was just in, this company is almost 40 years old. They service a Black and brown community. I am the first, let me hear you, let me hear me, y'all, the first non-white executive that they ever had. And it was hell. It was hell to pay. So, but what you cannot do, and what I told them is that you cannot let people make you doubt your skill set, and there's this perception that you should be happy that we've given you a seat at this table, and you cannot allow that to be your story either. And I told them that too. I'm like, your problem with me is I'm supposed to be happy that I'm sitting here. And I mean, so I'm 65, so you say what you need to say at this point, because I show up, I wear an afro, I wear dashiki if that's what I feel like. This is who I am. So as a younger woman, please be comfortable to show yourself as who you are when you enter into the workforce. Because when you don't, when you go in, to talk about code switching and all this nonsense, no, go in as who you are and save yourself a whole lot of mental health problems. Because if in fact they can't deal with you at the interview, you need to know that then. Don't even take the job. So, but anyway, Miss Phillips, hang in there. You're going to be okay, girl. You really are. And
I am. So if you walk away with anything, understand the reason that I chose to do entrepreneurship is that I will never walk into another space where you act like I'm supposed to be happy to be there. I'm not.
Exactly.
I'm better than all of y'all. I'm smarter than everyone. I mean,
and be okay with that.
And I'm okay with that. But I'm literally here. I don't say that as walking in. I don't tell my boss I'm smarter than you. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not, right? But I know I belong at this executive table. I will not act like you're giving me a gift. And because you gave me a gift, I'm supposed to be quiet at this table. I will not. And I will not ever again not be able to speak as an executive as every other executive on this team. I will not make myself small. I will not. So for me, I'm not telling you, I'm going to do this thing my way. And I've turned down money. All money ain't good money. See, at work, I can't turn down. I got to do the thing that people tell me to do. But when a client come and I'm like, ooh, that's feeling real white supremacist. You keep that money.
Absolutely.
Now I'm going to hustle for some other money. I love where I am. Is it as secure? I have had good government jobs. I ain't got no jobs. But hey.
I have to tell you, I've always been a free spirit. I've never.
Not me. Not me. I've been poor. We've been evicted. We
I'm
have
poor.
Utility cut off. No. I need a job. And then I got a good government job too, and made it to the top of them good government jobs. No. I believe in a good government job. But I'm
But I've always put myself before my employer, always.
right,
If I wanted to take a vacation for a month, I'm like, you don't have to pay me, but I'm going.
right.
I never enter a job place without saying whether I have a vacation planned or not. I tell you I got a vacation. Why? Because I know I'm not working a whole year before I go on vacation. So, so you just have to like put yourself. But I'm single. When I eat, my family eats. I don't
Right.
have children. It's just me, and
We
I
are
can
we are
take
all
chances.
positioned very differently. Let's get to some more questions. I don't know how you want
Yes.
to handle the
I've
questions.
got Miss L. L is next. L, can you hear us?
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Leslie and Helen, for having this for us. Leslie, you might have answered this, so feel free to not, elaborate on it again if you feel like you've answered this so you can get to more questions. But my question is what's the best piece of advice for people who are mid-career who are finding it difficult? Like, I'm getting the interviews, but there's always an excuse not to hire me, right? There's always the you know, if you're too approachable, because sometimes we have to be approachable because you know how that is, then it's like, oh, you're too comfortable. But if you're coming in serious, oh, you're not approachable enough. So it's like those type of excuses
Mhm.
that like it's basically the excuses to not give you the job, even though you're the most qualified and you know you would do well, that type of thing.
Yep.
I really internalized it last year because like I got like there's age discrimination questions. You're not elite enough, even though I'm within the company, how I'm not elite enough when I'm already doing it, things like that. So I really internalized it. So I think I'm over that. But what's the best advice to do now to kind of break that barrier or to keep on going and not internalize it any longer or things like that because I just kind of feel like I'm stuck and I'm stuck just because like I'm basically a Black woman who knows what I'm doing. Like anytime there's a volunteer leadership position, oh, you're great for that. Okay, but it's time to pay me for, why can't you pay me for those skills that you want me to do for free, right? So, what's the best piece of advice that you think you can give to people like me?
So two things. One, you set your boundaries. And there are some things that in order to get to leadership or the next promotion or whatever, there are some things that we have to do. Some things. But those things need to be equitable across the board. Do the white boys have to do them? Do the white girls have to do them? Do the Black men have to do them? Do they do them? Or do they always come to you? So you are the only person who can set your boundaries. Black women over deliver to the cost of our health. We overperform to the cost of our health. We sacrifice to the, so you have to set your boundaries. That's number one. Number two, if you're interviewing and you're interviewing regularly and you're making it to the last or to the next to the last round, and you don't get the job, there is nothing wrong with going back and say, hey, thank you so much. I'm really proud to have gotten this far, right? Could you tell me what you use, what the not in a way that takes the sting out of making them, because they'll hunch their backs if they think you're trying to sue them for something. But I just want to know how you say, I want to know how I could perform better next time. So what were the things, right? And even though you're eating kind of humble pie, you're really digging, right? It's a backdoor deposition, right? It's like, so what else could I have done? So what was between me and the final candidate, what was the determining factor? Right. And so after a couple of those, sometimes you get objective stuff, right? You literally get good information that helps you perform better in the next interview process. Or sometimes the truth of the matter is we live in a sexist and racist world. Sometimes it's just plain old misogyny. You can't do nothing about that, which is why I go back to always own something for yourself. Again, I'm not saying everybody needs their own job, especially the higher you are, the harder it is to replicate that kind of income, right? But there's nothing wrong with saying, what was it between me and you and the candidate that you selected? And it's good information. So you'll be able to say either they are consistently feeding me bull crap, or they're consistently giving me some information that I can actually use to my benefit. And sometimes if that's all in-house, sometimes it's time to be like, I forget the ball player that said, I got to take my skills elsewhere. I got to take my talent somewhere else.
Yeah, for sure.
Got a couple
Thank
hands.
you, Elle.
I'm here for, like another 30 minutes if you need me to be. So
Okay.
let's get to some more
Yeah,
questions.
if you can hang out, we have some more. I'm
Okay.
trying, the things in the chat seem to be more observations
Right.
and comments than questions, but we have hands. Miss
Hands.
Fuller, can I bring you on screen with us? Is that
Yes,
okay?
you may. Yes, you may.
All right. How you doing there?
Good. I'm good. And I want to say thank you for this opportunity. And I still feel it in my heart. I'm holding space with you, Leslie Marant, and for all of my other sisters, because your story is so much in so many ways our story. That's why I feel so, I don't know, it's palpable. And so I appreciate a safe space to experience that. And the story in regards to the former president of, I guess, Lincoln University that ended tragically, that hits home too. And I appreciate you sharing about your therapist. It was something you said she mentioned. I feel like I wrote it down, but that I appreciate. And I'm in a emotional space, emotional health. That's key. And one of the things you said, Helen, about being a free spirit that I resonate with. Many of us don't have traditional jobs, or I don't, because of that free spirit. I just can't be boxed. I can't fit the norm when it's a hot mess. I just can't last. It's what it is. But speaking to the part as it relates to the lady who passed and about your having a therapist and emotional health, like so much trauma that is stored on us, we are not super women. We're awesome, but we're not robots. And when we do not get the help we need, we pay for it in so many ways. So are you able or to speak to the importance making sure, and I'll say this, it was the difference between recovery, and I shared that with my daughter. She's 23. She's gone out now. But that is so important. And to hear that was just refreshing to my spirit because I wasn't lazy when I had to go slower. I was recovering, and I'm still in a bit of recovery. So can you speak more to the importance of the necessity to go to the next level after having gotten the support and the care we need emotionally, so that we're equipped to do that?
So when I was terminated on January 2nd, on the first day of the year. And I kept saying I'm not doing anything. Like I had all these lists of things. Like if I'm going to do this, I need to be applying for 20 jobs a week, and I need to start doing these things to start a business. And I just kept finding myself walking my dog and chilling and smelling the roses. And I said to my therapist, like, I'm not doing anything. She said, stop saying that. You are doing anything. She said, look who you've been through your life. I've been a caretaker in many, many ways. Necessary adultification, because of some health challenges in my family, all those things, right? And for the first time in my life, I stopped moving. The first time I was an adult. And then I look back, I told you I was a personal trainer. When I was at that police department, I gained weight. My blood pressure went up, like stuff crept up on me that I did not even realize, right? You have to, we have to, we schedule everything. You look at a Black woman's phone, it's color coordinated, all kind of stuff. You have to color coordinate your rest. You have to schedule it in. You have to build boundaries. Because I'm a personal trainer, I get all my appointments, so I don't miss my appointments. But I started doing the things that I knew that I wasn't supposed to do. I'm working through lunch, all the stuff that I was preaching for years. There are many people on this call that know I'm posting all the time. You got to take care of yourself, da 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 da. And I'm 15. Now I got to, at the police department, you could tell me nothing. I had a driver. It's the life. So all these people, I tell her to go get my lunch. Go get my lunch. It was the worst thing, those things, because I wasn't getting up and leaving my office and catching the sun of the day, in midday and walking. I'm working through all the stuff. We over deliver. We take work home, all of those things. It is necessary no one. Takers will always take. Your job will always take. The only one who's going to take care of your health is you. Your family, your partners, everybody will ask of you. If you don't say no, ask more of you than you can give. It is up to us to set our mental, physical, social, emotional boundaries. And sometimes, because of society, the expectations of us as women and Black women, we are socialized to say no. We're socialized to say yes. No to ourselves and yes to everybody else. The only person who's going to set your boundaries in all of those ways is you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm dropping in the chats here a picture of Dr. Bonnie. This is the woman from Missouri. And her story is one that I'm so glad I tell it as much as I can. I'm glad Leslie mentioned it because she was not protected, and she
At all.
and the problem is that she's working in a Black environment. She went to the board of trustees. This white guy who was an athletic director.
Athletic
How does he become president of a
of an
HBCU? Because
HBCU.
do you think that's going to happen for you? He was an athletic director, married to a Black woman, but so what? Anyway, and he was making her life an absolute hell, according to emails that she left and what have you. She went to the board of directors, who I'm going to assume were some of them had to be Black as a HBCU, and they didn't help her. Nobody helped her. So I also dropped in the chat if you will. I want us to keep this conversation going. So I put my email in there. I'll reach out to you all and we can figure out how we want to do this because I think that, as we create these spaces, and I've done this before, but I just feel like now it's really crucial because Black women were always under target, but we are really under target right now and we need to draw strength from one another. So I don't want anybody to leave this call thinking that whatever you're dealing with, that you're alone. You are not alone by any stretch of the imagination. Whatever you're dealing with, trust me, somebody else is dealing with it too. So thank you so much, Miss Fuller. Rochelle, and if you don't want to be brought on camera, just tell me and I won't bring you on. Rochelle, I'm sorry.
It's
Did you
okay.
want to come on?
Yes, it's okay.
Okay.
It's
All right,
okay.
so go
I
ahead.
thought I had
What's your
video.
question?
Oh, do you have me on camera? I can't really see that. But oh, here we
I
go.
do. Yes.
Okay.
What's your question?
Anyway, it's as if Leslie, you were reading my mail the whole time you were talking. I'm 76 and it's still happening. I'm not saying that to dampen anyone's spirits, but it was just 2 years ago when I was with the feds in an agency, and the manager came into my office alone to tell me to stop talking in staff meetings because, quote, you're depressing and you demoralize the staff. So if you have any issues, you need to come to my office privately, and then I will decide if it's something you need to bring to the staff. Well, one of the things I practice in I'm a psychotherapist, by the way. I do help people with their emotional problems, and I have to get help for myself. I have a therapist. But I heard him say between the lines, when you speak, people listen. You have influence. I said to him, I was smiling the whole time. I said, so you really think that the staff is listening to me when I'm talking in staff meetings? Thank you so much. And he just looked at me. But that's what the subtext was of his demand that I stop talking, because apparently I'm E.F. Hutton in the staff meeting. So, of course, I didn't stop talking, but that is real. I mean, they come out with the real they don't even get subtle about shut up. It is shut the F up with no dressing around it. And but I was 74 then, I think. And that's when I decided, watch me. And I took that leave you're talking about. I started taking sick leave, then vacation. I went all the way out to FMLA. That stretched to be about a year. So it was the following year when I finally just did the resignation so I could get the pension and the insurance and whatnot. But I never came back and I never looked back. And I have my own private practice. I did get an LLC, and I'm still, doing me. I also, years ago, I stopped working for anybody but me.
Right.
I would tell my younger colleagues, they just think I work for them. I've never worked for them. I'm working for me
Yeah.
and to help others. So, I mean, they had no thing that they could hold over me in particular. But, living, breathing while Black and Black female, just the visual of what happens when I walk in the room and you walk in the room. It's a whole narrative that we don't even have to say anything.
I'm almost 6 feet tall.
Oh
Dark.
my God.
I'm almost 6 feet tall, dark with no hair.
And well, look,
can't
no
shrink.
hair.
Even if I wanted to shrink, I
You
cannot.
could not.
So but I have no desire, and I stand firmly in that. Can we go to,
Well, I
Rashad?
just wanted to thank you for the
Thank you.
self-care focus. I've had
Sure.
2 heart attacks since I stopped working. I don't want people to go through that. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm still working, but everything you said about building community and mental health, right, spot on. I mean, because we are very powerful, but we also need support. And that's what I like about this group, that we're supporting each other. And that's what my group does. It's building together, don't build alone. And it's a 4-week group that my colleague Raquel Holmes and I are running. It starts Monday, but it's never too late because we do have openings. But you said the truth the entire time you were speaking, Leslie, and I really applaud you. And I pray for you too, because you need every bit of support that you're giving us.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
looking.
you so much. I appreciate
Okay.
it.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Moore. Miss Grant, you're next. So we're gonna do the last 3 questions that are up because I want to let Leslie go. I appreciate her time, but I don't want to abuse her. So we have Miss Grant, Yanni, and Lamisha. Where did you go? Didn't I just see your hand? And I want to hear from you because you're a young person. You're a young lawyer. You need to talk in this circle. So put your hand back up. I'm calling you out. Okay, Miss Grant, you're next. And I can
Hi.
bring you on camera, Miss Grant?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. My question was, why did you make that face?
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry, because I'm looking for that's good. Yeah, I'm looking for you. I've lost you in this crowd. I'm like, where did you go? Because I don't see you now. Because I was going to bring you on screen. Keep talking because I'm going to find you. That's why I made that face. I'm like, where did she go? Okay.
My question is actually pretty quick. I just wanted to know, when you started boots on the ground to put towards your goal of entrepreneurship, did you have a mentor or somebody that you looked to that assisted you, or were you just, your village, your close friends, or, was it a
No,
professor
I
or
didn't know what I
something?
was doing. No, I would love to tell you a far more sophisticated answer than that. No, I ain't had no job, Tommy. I was just trying to figure out what to do and how to do it. But I am here to encourage anybody. I put my pedal to the metal in November. It's May. I ain't going back. Now I'm good. I'm good. So let me tell you what I did practically. I invested in, so my desire was to be a full-time public speaker. I'm also an executive consultant, so I do I didn't want to pigeonhole myself in the DEI space. Unfortunately, with the election went the way it went, and a lot of my business, I'm like, I am a transformation spec. What I really am is what you say your company is and what the outcomes are. And there's a bridge there. I'm literally a problem solver. I can find the root and I can make it, fix it. And then January 20th happened, and the first 2 executive orders are all anti-DEI, and all the businesses go nuts. Some make really major mistakes. And so, although I didn't want to pigeonhole myself into the DEI space here, the people are calling me, can you help us? Do we reframe? Do we take it down? Train the board? What do we do? Talk to our staff, blah, blah, blah. And then the speaking as well. So the things, but I let the work, because I got to eat and I get consultation, consulting contracts and things like that. But how I started, I did invest. And that also is but now I was down to no money. So I was like, ooh, okay. Okay, we're going to trust this little Jack and the Beanstalk bean, and it's going to grow. Jesus, please, God, because I'm risking my dollars. So I invested in a speaking intensive because that's what I want to do. That's not what I want to do. It's what I do now. So I invested in a speaking intensive, and I invested in a coach. I joined and led by a Black woman who is an amazing strategist. Amazing. That I went from a year ago terrified. What do I have to offer? I'm just an attorney. What do I do? And the way I speak now confidently about what I do, who I am, what I can offer a company is 100% a result of her. 100%. 100%. I'll put her website in the chat if anyone wants it.
Who is your coach? Who is
Christina
it?
Joy Whitaker.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Miss Grant. Yannick, is it Yannick? Yannick, help me. I don't want to mess up your name.
Hi, it's Yane, and y'all
Hi,
see I'm
Yannick.
driving.
We
How
see
you
you
doing?
driving. Keep your eye on the road, girl.
I am.
Pull
'Cause they
over,
acting.
Yane. I know Yane, so I can tell her to pull over. Pull
On
over.
the earpiece. I got my earpiece on.
Okay.
Yeah, because they driving a fool out here. But first of all, thank you. Your this offering is so timely. And just super quick context, because it lends to my question that essentially and I work for the city, civil service, and the labor and employee relations space. And essentially, once I have reached, I'm in a program administration position over the labor employee program for the city. So essentially, we're the team that negotiates the contracts with the union represented employees, the 6 unions throughout the city. And what I have seen is that when I've I've gotten in the line, I'm an administrator. The next step for me would be as a deputy director, and that position is vacant. And the writing on the wall that I'm observing, and it's not the first time it's happened, but I've kind of been lining myself up to leave the city anyway. I'm like 2 classes away and a practicum from completing my MBA. And Leslie knows I'm also a caregiver of my son with multiple physical and intellectual disabilities. So what pretty much happens is when you get to that point where you're next in line for the executive position, is that they kind of like move the goalpost, and essentially they're restructuring the position. And they've been giving me the work of the deputy, but they're very reluctant to fill that position. And I've been asking about the position, and in my last supervision with my deputy, she's floating the idea of abolishing the position and hiring 2 people at my level, and the second person would be my subordinate worker who's been with the city for, I think, maybe about 15 months. So essentially, she's lining us up to be on par with each other and eliminating the deputy's position. And another thing that was significantly done was every year before I received this position, we've always had like a robust development budget. I mean, sending people out to San Diego for a week, Disney, to the Disney Institute for a week. And now for this year, and I just got my promotion in March. And at this point, during supervision, I was told that there is $0 in the development budget for me and for my staff. So my question is, would you have any, because I have been researching in this space, but would you have any insight or guidance on where to locate grant funding for development, both for myself and for my staff, so that we can rise to the level of professionalism and develop like all the other professionals are doing with my law partners and colleagues and other specialties. But within my labor relations team, like I said, we have no budget. So I'm just asking, would you have any guidance or insight on places where I could, I don't know if any development is any free spaces or just any grant funding to be able to develop myself within that labor and employee relations space, and also for my staff. And thank you.
So I'm going to defer to any HR folks. I'll let Helen take the lead on that. My gut thought is this is the position this is what happens with us. As we get closer to the position, well, first, in federal, state, and local employment, very often the higher you get to the top, the deputies, the commissioners, those vacancies are political. Even though, they're coming from the executive off, they want to see their people as deputy commissioners. And that's not just a city thing, that happens across the state, right? And then the sexism and the racism can come into play, because as we get closer to the top, then the goalposts change. We're not filling the vacancy, but then you've done exactly what Black women do. Now we're going to go outside and we're going to make it happen for not just us, for our staff. That's really the city's job. And so I understand that you want to elevate your staff and you want to elevate yourself. It really shouldn't happen that way. It should happen the way that it has always happened. So my gut, and I'm not giving legal advice here. My gut, as you were talking, was, man, start putting stuff in writing and start. Okay, so I've been helped, and so under the law, the failure to respond in certain ways is a response. So, hello, boss. Thank you for the conversation that we had. I'd love to know, with this vacancy, this position has been vacant for such and such and such a time. I'm assuming these duties, this duties, the other duties. Can you let me know what the plan moving forward is for filling this position? Are we filling it? Are we dividing it? Now I'm writing. Right? But I'm writing very friendly. I'm not writing in a hostile way. I'm writing because I'm documenting now. Right? I'm documenting the BS. I'm going to be quiet at that point and let the HR folks go further, because I may be out of my wheelhouse with that. All right.
So as you were talking, I put in the chats in writing. Ask your questions in writing, because when you're being gaslit, I remember having a supervisor. He'd come to my office and he'd ask me to do something like it was not in my bailiwick, or it's going to take me away from something that I'm supposed to be. Before he gets in his office, hey, thanks for stopping by. And I would reiterate the question, the conversation, and just in a very vague way, just so that we know there's some documentation of this. And Leslie, I believe that you should blind copy your stuff to your personal email address, because when they come in and say this is your last day, that's it. It's your last day, and you do not have time to get all those things. So, and then I remember we did a call, and my colleagues that I worked with on my SHRM event, they're not here, but one of the ladies had a fantastic idea. She said, at the end of every day, ladies, keep this in mind. At the end of every day, stop for 15 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, and write down the key things that happened that day. Just a sentence, something that because you think, it seems very prevalent when it's happening, but 6 months from now, you forgot all about that. And now you got this little journal and you can just run through it. And you have notations of all that you've done. But BCC, CYA, when you're talking to them, and they, he would come down to my office and he'd say, Helen, you got it writing. And guess what? He stopped doing it because he realized he was an attorney too. And he realized what I was doing. Don't think you're going to come to me later on and say, you weren't able to do this and this and that. No, because I was a little like Omarosa, I suppose. But yeah, so I don't know. I think, we know what's happening, and people will try to make you think that there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. So don't be afraid to question it. Don't ever question that something's wrong with you. Um, just put it out there. And don't be afraid. So thank you.
Thank
Uh,
you.
so this is going to be our last, I think, yeah, my last question. And this young lady, I haven't seen you in a while, but she's a young attorney, Leslie. So I don't know what her question is. I don't even know if it has anything to do with the law, but you're talking to people who can, yeah. So let's hear from you. Lanisha?
Yes,
Lanisha?
ma'am, I'm here. I'm here.
Hey,
Yes,
girl.
ma'am.
How are you, sweetheart?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Good.
I went out to UCLA. That's where I am now. I'm in California getting a master's in critical race. Well, I got the master's in critical race studies. I just graduated Friday. So that's why I
Congrats.
had, thanks. That's why you haven't seen me.
Congratulations.
Thanks. I needed a break from the East.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, guys. I needed a break from the East Coast because when I got on the call today, there was a young lady saying that she felt pushed out and that she had gone through so much, and like her story hit me in the heart because I too know what that's like, to have gone to work and shown up as my ancestors taught me, doing everything, being the best version of me, and still being passed over and pushed out. And then even though I did document, having people just lie. Like the document is right here, but still lying. Like, and I've worked for, I've worked for the judiciary, and have had documents falsified and just lie, because they have the power to do that. And so even when you're documenting, and trust me, I got good at documenting after that first time. And so it is very disheartening when you feel like you're crossing, you're dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's, and then people can fall back on the old stereotypes and just lie. Because the game has changed now. Like you can be documenting, right? But they're gonna say something like, oh, well, she had an attitude. How do you document against that when you know you didn't show up that way? And that ship is gonna sail without anything that you can do to run it off course. Somebody's going to be able to say that, and people are going to believe that just because you look the way you look, not because that ever actually happened, not that they ever had, not that they can produce one shred of evidence that that ever happened. So I wanted to give her encouragement, but I also wanted to ask, like when we engage in those type of protected activities, and we still get either blackballed or blacklisted, how do we circumvent that?
It's not a function of circumventing, it's a function of documentation. You got to document everything. If you believe that you are engaging in protected activity and you are being and you are suffering consequences as a result of protected activity, being a protected class member, engaging in protected activity, it's time to contact an attorney.
Okay, okay. But like I said, I've really had some dark times, and like I just want her to stay encouraged because I know that I know I have really like struggled, like with ending up like the colleague at the college at the HBCU. There were days that I thought like this is too much. Like my kids don't deserve this. My family doesn't deserve this kind of public shame, because then the attorney that was doing it, because he knew that I could prove the case, went very public with, oh, well, she wasn't a good worker. I got 3 reviews on the docket right now that says you're lying. Like, and just did everything he could to slander me. Meanwhile, the white partner who filed against the same firm, the same claims, worked in the same office at the same time, her case is going strong, and she's got someone to represent her, but nobody will represent us, because at the same time that we're losing jobs, people don't want to take our cases because they don't want to have to prove these things or even try. I've talked to some employment attorneys that are so lazy that they
So,
don't even want to do that.
so two things. I just put into the link for anyone who needs legal counsel. Outside of Philadelphia, I can't tell. If you're asking me about Philadelphia attorneys, and I'm not suggesting that you are, I can say for most areas of the law, here you are. I know some folks. When people ask me for a referral and I don't know people, I tell people to go to Super Lawyers, www. I just put the link in the chat, www.superlawyers.com. And so you go to
Okay.
Super Lawyers and you say what kind of lawyer you need: employment, civil rights, free speech, and then your jurisdiction. And so the reason I recommend people to super lawyers is because super lawyers are vetted by other lawyers. You cannot recommend
Okay.
yourself, and they have an algorithm. So let's say me and everybody on this call decide to nominate Leslie. The algorithm would be like, that looks fishy, and it won't allow it,
Right. Okay.
right? And so
Okay. Okay.
does that mean that it X's out racism or sexism? No. But it does mean that lawyers who go against other lawyers in that category say, well, if I'm coming up against myself, or if I need this kind of attorney, this is who I'm hiring. So I use super lawyers. And the other thing is, whenever there's in certain classes of employers, right? Educational colleges and universities. I did a seminar about 3 weeks ago, or a session about 3 weeks ago for Black women in the education spaces. There are people who specialize in suing certain types of employers. So if a college is raggedy in their employment practice, racist, sexist, whatever protected class stuff, there's a lawyer or a group of lawyers who know this university, who know their counsel, and you find out, all right, who regularly sues St. Joe's University? They're there. You can find them. You may go to the federal docket or whatever and say, all right, the cases against this university, what lawyer files regularly against them? What lawyer is successful against them? So depending upon your employer, depending on the type of it, like if you work for a state, the city, or the federal government, there are people who regularly engage in employment against your employer. Find out who those folks are. That's who you want to call, so that you're not wasting time knocking on every Tom, Dick, and Harry or Susan's door who may or may not take your case.
For sure. Okay, so look, this has been a very engaging, fruitful, and I knew it would be a great conversation. Leslie, I'm going to ask you to give some closing remarks. I'm going to encourage everybody to please come again. We meet here. I won't be meeting next Sunday because it's a holiday, but we meet on Sundays, and the topics vary. I'll put you on the list if you want to pop in, pop in. And also for those of you who on Wednesday morning, hump day, we have 6 a.m. Yes, 6 o'clock in the morning. We have mindfulness. Leslie's laughing. We have mindfulness sessions. And it's breathing, it's chair yoga, it's just, and I do hump day because, just to help you know that you can get through the rest of this week, like you're halfway there. And I want us to always stay focused on the fact that we're okay, because there are so many people around us who are going to try and tell us that we're not okay. We are okay. So Leslie, go ahead, and Leslie can give some closing remarks. And for those of you who've been here before, although we will stop recording, I have what's called the after party, and we'll hang around for a few minutes after that and just talk. And we won't be recording. So those of you who maybe not been comfortable speaking on camera, we just talk live for a few more minutes before we go. And please, but one more thing, Leslie, I'm sorry. Leslie talks about, what do you say, Leslie? Resist, refrain, and reclaim.
Sure.
And I think we need to keep our eyes on the prize in terms of resistance and recognize, ladies, that no matter what's happening, and I heard Leslie say something about boots on the ground, Black people, all the chaos that's going on around us, we are okay. We got our boots on the ground, you're dancing. We had, the Blackity Black, what was it, the Met Gala. We are just not letting ourselves be bothered by all that's happening with us. And let's just make sure that we are staying, on top of, what are our victories. So go ahead, Miss Leslie.
For those of you who have stuck in here, we've been on this call a long time. So one, thank you for
What
hanging
time?
out.
It's 6 o'clock, yeah.
Thank you for hanging out and staying with us. Two, I love Black people, and I ride for Black women and girls. There is no such thing as imposter. I reject and rebuke in the name of every deity that you can name imposter syndrome. There is no one gifts us anything. Any place you occupy, you deserve it. Any place you occupy, you deserve it. No one gave you anything, and you have the right to exist in every place and space that you have. You will always be too loud for places and people that never wanted to hear your voice. So talk anyway. Whether or not you look for another job or set your business, you can. And I stand here, a year ago, I was stunned. And today I have a business. I no longer say I don't have no job, Tommy. I work for me. I make money for me. I am my own boss. I'm liberated. Some of y'all have seen my haircuts. I walk into executive, these people pay me, and I come in with the back of my head with all kind of designs in it. Because that's the freedom I purchased for me. Someone asked about it in one of the spaces. They said, "Oh wow, you know how they are. Oh wow, look at your hair." I said, "Yeah, I call it my liberation style." And it is. It is. It's the symbol of I do whatever I want now. Now, the truth is I live in a capitalistic system, as we all do, and we all got to eat, right? And so I don't function outside of those parameters, but I just want to encourage Black women, everybody on this call. You are more than worthy. You have done the work. You are not making things up. You're not paranoid. The gaslighting, the goalpost moving, the sexism, the racism, the misogyny, it's all real. But they do not have to define you. They do not have to define you. Define yourself for yourself, lest you be crushed. Y'all know where I'm going with this. Into someone else's expectations of who you are. And it is not. And it will, so whether you are employed or whether you employ yourself, move authentically in your own power, in your own voice, and be you. Thank you.
Okay, can everybody please come off mute and can you come off mute and give Leslie some love, please?
Oh,
Thank you, Miss Leslie.
Leslie,
Yes.
And so much.
really well done.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thanks, Leslie. Good job.
Thank you
Nice
so
job.
much.
So much wisdom shared.
Love.
Really
Thank you
appreciate
so
it. Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so for sharing this
Awesome.
on your spirit.
Thank you,
From me and
Thank you,
Chris.
sister, for letting her talk.
Absolutely fabulous. Thank
So
you.
proud of you, Les. We're so proud of you.
Thank you for
Thank
sharing your
y'all for
wisdom.
that.
Thank you for sharing. God bless.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Very nice.
Awesome,
Just
Leslie.
so many
Awesome.
good points.
Yes, yes,
So
Our
many
absolutely.
good
tag,
points.
Thanks,
our
Leslie.
our
Excellent.
tagline, our tagline here at When Black Women Gather is that I don't think I have a lot of regular.
Amazing things
But
happen.
when Black women gather,
Amazing things happen.
happen.
we have had
Yes.
another
Amazing
amazing
things.
afternoon, ladies.
Another
Thank you so
amazing
much
one.
for coming. And I'm going to stop recording now. And hey, Charlotte, I see some folks. It's just too many of y'all. I can't see who's here and who's not here. But thank you again, Leslie. I really, really, really appreciate you giving your time, sharing your story. And like I said, there's no question in my mind that you gave a lot of people a lot of hope today.
Amen.
And I hope everybody leaves here knowing that you are enough. You are good
Helen,
enough.
Amen. Yes. Yes.
Helen, this
You
one
are.
was knocked out of the park.
Yes.
Thank you,
Yes.
Leslie. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you.
My pleasure.
It's the conversation that we always need to be having. So we're going to continue this. So like I said, I left it in the chats for you all to email me and let's figure out next steps to keep this going. Maybe we do it once. And I'm not saying you, Leslie. Leslie's like, don't be committing me to nothing. But yeah, but we there's so many of us. We all have stories to tell. So I think we can keep this thing going, keep this conversation going. So thank you all for coming and
And
have a
Leslie,
safe holidays. Go ahead,
Helen, I'd
Charlotte.
just like to add, um, some of us have grandchildren who are entering the job market. They're on their first jobs, etc. And some of the things, most of what you said is applicable. It's like wisdom to give to them as they start their journey, to just have that conversation with them. So I thank you so much, Leslie, and wish you all the best.
Yes. Much success.
Let me
Much
just close
success.
on this note, ladies. In the workplace, in life, can we please be good to one another?
Yes.
You know, like,
That's
let's
another conversation.
Yes.
That's a whole
Every time I do
conversation.
one of these, every time I do one of these talks, Leslie, we get to the point where we're going to talk about the black on black thing, and we never get to it. So
We have to have that conversation, because I'm glad we're recording. In this latest thing, my harm was orchestrated.
It's still showing recording.
Oh,
let me stop. Hold on. Sorry. I was